If you are looking for a Prebuilt PC, this is a really good time to buy since there are a bunch of new deals for the President's Day in the United States. I will show you from the cheapest to the most expensive one, the cheapest being $600 and the most expensive one being $3,400. So if your budget is between those numbers, then this video is going to be perfect for you and you will get the perfect PC build. Not only that, but I will also explain what these PCs are capable of running and at which resolution. So stick around if you want to find out the perfect Prebuilt PC for you. All the links to these PCs will be provided down below in the video description, where you can check the latest prices to see if it's on a deal or not anymore. That being said, let's start. With the first PC we have the Victus 15L, and I always start with these PCs because they are on sale quite often, but this one is on a big sale at $600 with the GTX 1660 Super and the i5 12400. This is a 1080p combination, so if you have a 1080p monitor, whether it's a 1080p 60Hz one or a 1080p 144Hz, then this PC is going to be ideal for you. You will be able to play basically every single game at 1080p high settings without any issues, but it's going to depend on the title and the setting. For example, for esports titles such as Valorant and CSGO, you will be able to achieve way more than 144 FPS on average, and for games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5, at 1080p medium to high settings, you will be able to achieve 60 plus FPS easily with no problems at all. Then you get 8 gigs of RAM, 2x4, and 256 gigs of SSD. So if you want to upgrade anything inside of the system right now, I do recommend you clicking on customize and buy and changing the storage to at least 500 gigs of SSD and the RAM to 16 gigs. That is only if you have the budget to do it. If you don't worry, these are easy upgrades that you can make down the line. With the next one we have the other Victus 15L. This one is a bit more expensive at $900, but it's a much better PC where you don't have to upgrade anything down the line. You get the Ryzen 7 5700G and the RX 6600 XT for the GPU. Now, if you don't know much about AMD GPUs, but you know about NVIDIA GPUs, this is really similar to the RTX 3060 Ti. You get 16 gigs of RAM, a terabyte of hard drive, and 500 gigs of SSD, so it's safe to say that here you don't have to upgrade anything, and you will get much more FPS at 1080p gaming, especially in those hard demanding games. For esports titles, I mean, you will get more FPS, but it's not going to be noticeable for your eye, since the max refresh rate on your monitor is either going to be 144Hz or 240, but you will notice a big difference when it comes to games like Red Dead Redemption 2. Then for $1,200 we are talking about the Skytech Nebula from the Skytech website. This one has the Ryzen 5 5600 and the RTX 3060 Ti. It's a bit better than the RX 6600 from the last one, and this PC is much more upgradable than the HP system. So if you want not only better gaming performance at both 1080p and 1440p, but you also want a better looking system with RGB and a more upgradable path, this is the system to go with. You also get 1TB of SSD and 16 gigs of RAM, so no need for an upgrade. You get that front mesh panel that looks great and it's going to give you great airflow for these components. And the 3060 Ti is a really 1440p capable GPU. You can also use it for high FPS at 1080p, but if you want a 1440p monitor and you want better performance than the 6600 XT, then this PC will be the right one for you. With the next one we have the Azure PC from Amazon. This one is pretty much the same as the Skytech Nebula. The only difference is going to be the GPU and the case. It's not going to have the same amount of airflow than the last one, but it's going to be enough and you will not have any issues with temperatures, and that's all that matters. Now you get the RTX 3070 instead of the 3060 Ti, so if you're looking for high FPS at 1440p, this is a nice upgrade from the last one. If you're just looking to play at 1080p, then I think this would be a waste of money, since the RTX 3070 it's an overkill for 1080p. So this is if you want high FPS 1440p, and that's it. The 3070 is not a 4K GPU and it's not a 1080p GPU either. It's a 1440p high FPS high settings GPU. It's not going to be the best one out there for 1440p, but it's definitely going to be more than enough for most people. Now for 1979 bucks you are getting a better system. We are talking about the Omen 45L. I've tested this PC myself. You can go ahead and watch my review about it with benchmarks in the top right of the screen. That's why I'm not going to go really deep into this system, but basically you get the i7-12700 and the RTX 3080. The RTX 3080 is a 4K capable GPU and a really good graphics card for 1440p high FPS. I've tested this system at 1440p and let me tell you, it performed great. So if you want to start playing at 4K or you want a 1440p really high FPS graphics card for around $2,000, you can get this system. And another thing to mention is that the cooling system on this PC is great. You also get 16 gigs of RAM, a terabyte of hard drive and 500 gigs of SSD, so no need for an upgrade unless you really need 32 gigs of RAM because maybe you're a content creator, and this system is also great for content creation with the CPU-GPU combo, but that is the only thing that I would recommend you upgrading if you really need to upgrade something. Now the next one is quite more expensive. We are talking about the Skytech Eclipse for $2,700. You're getting the Ryzen 5 7600X, which means AM5 platform, which if you don't know, it only allows DDR5 memory. You get 32 gigs of DDR5 RAM, which is the first time we get 32 gigs of RAM on a Prebuilt PC on this video, and you get the RTX 4080. This is a 4K GPU and a 4K system overall, so if you want to play at 1440p, I wouldn't recommend you spending this amount of money because you will basically see no difference between this one and the last one at 1440p unless the game that you're playing is Flight Simulator. You get 1TB of Gen 4 SSD. Overall, it's a great PC with really good airflow and a good cooling system for the CPU with a 240 all-in-one liquid cooler for the Ryzen 5 7600X, which wasn't really necessary, but it's a nice to have in case you want to upgrade the CPU down the line to, let's say, the Ryzen 7 7700X or any CPU that AMD launches in the next few years because you get the AM5 platform. I would say for most people this is the limit even for 4K. I wouldn't recommend you going with the 4090 because you're spending much more money, but some people want the best of the best. If you have a really high-end budget and you want the best of the best, then I recommend you the upgraded version from this system, which is actually one of the cheapest PCs when it comes to RTX 4090s. It's the Eclipse once again, but you get the Ryzen 9 7900X, a bigger CPU cooler, and the RTX 4090. Those are the differences from this one and the last one, and the price, it's $3,400. Like I said before, the 4090, it's an overkill even for 4K. There's no game that you can't run. We are talking about the best of the best here. And what surprises me the most is the fact that it's really similar priced to a PC build with a 4090. Maybe it's a bit more expensive, but if you were thinking of building it your own, you can consider as well buying a Prebuilt PC because the price difference between this one and a PC build is not that huge and you will be getting a great performance without having to build it yourself. If you found this video helpful, leave a like and subscribe. Most importantly, hit that bell button so you get notified when I upload this type of content. And let me know in the comment section if you have any questions about either PC builds or Prebuilt PCs that you want. Let me know your budget, what your goal is, if this video wasn't enough, or my website where you can find the perfect PC build for your budget and your favorite title with the expected FPS. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for your support, and I will see you on the next one.